today we're going to be looking at something a bit different. This is the Speras B8. It's a rechargeable headlamp, the built-in battery, and it delivers 700 lumens. It's a pretty light headlamp as well. It's the USB port on the side. And basically you can see here you've got a spot beam, a couple of floody LEDs, and an RGB LED. Well, basically it has a blue, red, and a green LED. They're pretty bright. Only weighs about 70 grams, and I think this is a very versatile little headlamp, especially if you're looking for something that's lighter. So the beam distance is rated at 70 meters, so it's more suitable for kind of close range tasks and moderate distance illumination as well. You can dim it. There's a stepless dimming option on all the LEDs, so you can really get down to a proper moonlight mode. And yeah, like I said, it's a pretty versatile flashlight, especially if you're using something for outdoors. It's great for hiking, running at night as well. You can turn on like a flashy red mode for a kind of signaling light, camping, fishing. Yeah, I guess a lot of different options there. But I've also got this one-step touch mode. Now this, you kind of got to turn it on and press it, but that's like a one-step touch to the turbo mode, or the highest mode essentially. So it's a very kind of user-friendly operation, pretty easy. Just a couple of buttons there and one on the side. So let's have a look at what you get in the box. That's pretty bare bones. You get the B8 itself, and the headband comes attached. This is the box that it comes in. You also get a little USB-C charging cable, which comes standard with most flashlights, headlamps these days. This is the box, so if you want to pause the video, check out the specifications here on the side, you can. Speras also include this instruction manual, so you can, yeah, again, pause the video, have a look at the UI and the brightness sort of settings there. Okay, so here are a bunch of other headlamps that I keep out and use fairly often. So I've got the Sofern HS21 here to the left. It's got the Next Torch Max Star and the Immelent HT70. Also got the Acebeam H16. So the B8 feels a little bit lighter actually than the H16, and it's surprising. I mean, given it's, you know, it's made of plastic, it's made of ABS, so it is going to be lighter than these other ones, and it's a fair bit smaller as well than especially those 18650 lights that you get out there, like the HS21. But the main difference that I can spot is really how light this thing is. Okay, so here is a little close-up of the Speras B8, and it's constructed of ABS, which is a fairly durable plastic. It keeps the headlamp very lightweight, like I mentioned before. Looking at the specs, it's 77.2 grams, including the battery as well. And yeah, it feels pretty robust considering that it's made of plastic. And it's also built to meet the IP66 water resistance standards. So yeah, water and dust resistance standards. So it is reliable in wet, harsh kind of outdoor conditions. If you drop it in the dirt, mud, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's a one-piece headband. So yeah, normally with 18650 lights, you do get another additional band on the top there to secure the light further. But this is pretty good. I mean, at the end of the day, this thing is so light, I don't think you need anything else on the top. I wore this thing around while doing beam shots, and it feels very grippy on my head. And yeah, I like that it also flips down, as you can see here, 90 degrees. So you can technically detach the light from this headband and use it as an EDC flashlight, maybe a signal flashlight. But yeah, personally, I just leave it on. You can see here on the side, you've got a USB-C charging port and a port cover. It takes a little bit of wiggling to get that port cover in, but it stays very firm sort of seal there. Got a couple of physical buttons on the top. Okay, so I'll go through how to use those buttons later on. You've also got a touch button here on the side. It says max. Let's just basically turn on all the white LEDs, these 3 white LEDs at the same time. There is also a battery indicator here at the base. You see those 4 blue lights that just light up as soon as you turn the light on or off. So here is a little close-up under the face of the light. And Spears have stated that they are using Cree XPG LEDs, so these white LEDs here. This one does look a little bit different though. It might be the lens there just distorting the dye surface, but it does look a bit different from the other two. Wouldn't be surprised if it is, but that's what they've stated anyway. Cree XPG3 LEDs. There's also an RGB LED here on the right for additional red, green, and blue light. And these lenses are plastic. The front is also made of clear plastic. Not sure what it is. Might be acrylic. And yeah, the good thing is that the face of the light also glows in the dark, so it makes it easy to locate. And yeah, you kind of turn it on for a little bit and see that sort of white section glow. Okay, so I'm just going to run through the UI, show you how the light is used. So there's a couple of buttons here on the top. This larger button just turns the light on or off, and it remembers the last mode that you had used and also the brightness setting in there as well. So once the light's on, just press the little button here on the side and you can swap. So that is the long range LED, then it's switched to the two middle flood LEDs, and then of course back to the colored LED. So say you're in the, you know, the spot LED, you can press and hold that larger button as well, and it steps all the way down and then goes up again. So it blinks at the top. Again, that's where you release. You can do it for every LED. So just press that one, press and hold, and you can see blinks at the bottom, and then it goes back up again. And same thing even for the auxiliary LEDs, which is actually pretty handy, because if you're using it, you know, right in the middle of the night, so you really don't want anything to be, you don't really want that to exceed a few lumens. Let me just lower this one down even further. And this button here on the side, when you press it, it flips to 700 lumens. Press it again, it goes back into the previous mode that you've been using. Now in the RGB mode here, you can also press and hold down the little button, and it's, you know, switches to green and then also switches to blue. So you can kind of press and hold. Now, if you turn the light off, double press as well the larger button here, you get this kind of flashy mode. And yeah, as you can see, sort of press that smaller button to switch in between. This could be helpful if you're a runner. You can also press and hold to switch colored, you know, the different color of the LED as well. If you also press both of these buttons down at the same time while the light is off for 3 seconds, you get a lock mode. So just the blue sort of flicker, you press it down again for 3 seconds, both of them down, and there you go, the light's unlocked. Personally, I wouldn't worry too much about the lock feature because these buttons are pretty, you know, they're pretty difficult to press down. I wouldn't say they're uncomfortable, but yeah, they do have, you know, a bit of, you know, use a bit of pressure to turn it on. All right, so I ran a bunch of ceiling bounce tests with the Speras B8. You can see here, this is the spot beam on 100%. So it starts off on 100%, get about a minute of runtime before the light steps down to just over 40% output. I ended the test at the 20-minute mark. Here is a second ceiling bounce test on the flood LEDs, and that's 100% as well. Starts off at 100%, get about a minute of runtime before the light steps down to about 35%. Here's a third ceiling bounce test where I ran the flood plus the spot beam on 100%, so the max mode, and you can see starts off at 100%. Again, you get that 1 minute of runtime before it steps down to 40%. Here are a bunch of tests that I ran with my Opal Lightmaster Pro. You can see the specifications here, but the main thing I want to focus on is the throw. So you can see the spot plus flood mode actually managed to measure 94 meters. So that was exceeding the specifications. The spot beam was 76 meters, you know, on its own. CRI was 71 to 77, and the CCT was between 5,400 and 5,700. So some considerations if you're thinking about getting the Speras B8. So this light has an inbuilt non-replaceable battery. I'm not exactly sure what they're using. They put a model number of the battery, but I couldn't find anything about it. It's rated at 1,800 milliamp hours. So it's a decent sized battery in there, but yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. The second consideration is that the buttons are a little hard to press. So, you know, I wouldn't say that they're uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, I think this actually helps. So it will prevent accidental activation. I always get a bit funny with these sort of, you know, side buttons or whatever on lights, in case I sort of have them in my pocket and some keys hits them, that kind of thing, and turns it on. So yeah, not going to be an issue. You can also lock the light electronically, like I showed you before. The third consideration is the step down. Now, it does step down pretty quickly, but after a minute, and goes below half of its output. Okay, so this is not, at the end of the day, a lumen monster. It's more of a short to mid-range headlamp, and it has to step down fast due to that limited heat dissipation. It's got a plastic shell, so another thing obviously to keep in mind. Does keep it very light as well. So the ABS construction, you know, that is related to my previous point. It doesn't feel as premium as those all metal designs that you find out there. And it's not going to dissipate heat as well. But, you know, 77 grams, you can't beat that. This thing's going to be great for just taking around, chucking in your bag and barely feeling that it's even there. There's quite a lot going on in this headlamp. You've got these RGB LEDs, flood, and these spot LEDs, different flashy modes as well. So for beginners, it might take a little bit of time to get used to the UI. But at the end of the day, I think it greatly enhances the different use cases for this light. The last consideration is the 70-meter throw beam. Well, I measured 96 meters before. It's impressive for a light of this size. I mean, considering that the lenses are so small in there. But yeah, just keep in mind that this light is more intended for short to mid-range applications. Overall, the Speras B8 is a versatile and efficient rechargeable headlamp, and it does offer a very respectable 700 lumen output in this compact, very lightweight design. And I really like this multiple light mode option. You see this a lot more on headlamps these days. You know, gone are the days where you just have one LED and you turn it on and off. You know, it does make the light more complex to use in terms of the UI, but, you know, like I mentioned before, it does also make it more versatile. You know, I really like the RGB modes in there, especially the red mode. They're pretty bright for, you know, surprised how bright that they were. These are colored LEDs. Flood mode was pretty good as well. And yeah, there's no artifacts in the beam. Do like the controls, you know, pretty simple, just 2 buttons on there. USB-C charging, which is beginners friendly and just, yeah, travel friendly, I suppose. And yeah, you know, that IP66 water resistance is always a good thing. I think the Speras B8 provides excellent value, performance, and practicality for everyday users. Even if you're an outdoor adventurer, emergency use, it's great as a multifunctional headlamp. So if you're interested in one of these, check the video description below. I'll have a link to the Speras B8 and a discount voucher as well. And if you have questions as well, just leave them below in the comments. I'll get back to you. If you enjoyed the video, do me a big favor, click the like button and share it with someone. Share this video with someone that you might think would be interested. Just helps to get my channel out to more people. And if you want to see more flashlight reviews and keep up to date with the latest news, make sure you subscribe. The Speras B8, and let's turn this on. This is the spot mode, and as you can see here, I'm alternating between the spot mode and the full spot plus flood mode. So that spot plus flood mode is super bright. Okay, it doesn't throw that far, but I'd say it's a good medium range light. It's lighting up that tree on the right hand side, just behind this one that's closer up. Okay, that's just the spot mode alone, but of course you have that little touch feature, which is so useful if you need that burst of extra light. And we'll swap over now to maybe just the flood mode only. Okay, that's just the flood mode. Okay, so nothing special, but it does the job up close. I mean, as a walking light, this is going to be fantastic. And go through some of the other modes as well. Unfortunately, I can't really see the red modes on there, or the green mode maybe. Yeah, I can see the green mode, but it doesn't show up so well on camera. There's a blue mode in there as well. I'll maybe go through a shorter distance area in a moment and try it out there. But I'll go through and just show you the beam profile as I walk. Okay, I've got the Speras B8. This is the spot beam on high, and I've just turned on both the spot and flood beam, so you can sort of alternate with this side switch, touch switch like that. And if you can swap straight to the spot mode itself or go to the flood, there's like a red mode here, so you might be able to see that on camera slightly. I'll just bump the ISO a little bit. Let's get back to that. Just trying to get it to approximate roughly how I see it. That's the green mode. And that's the blue mode. You sort of hit the switch on the side to go from the lowest point, lowest start of the ramp for the aux mode, and then the top of the ramp. The blue mode is surprisingly bright. Green mode. These auxiliary modes are going to be just fine as walking lights. I'd probably use the green mode. It seems to be the brightest. And red mode, not so much. Let's flip back. I want to go back to the spot mode. Okay, and then flood. Okay, so spot, flood. So you can actually just walk around, say, with the flood mode, and then hit this button on the side, this button there, to get that spot mode to come on if you need a bit of extra visibility. And this is going to be useful, like if maybe you wear gloves, maybe you're on a bike or something like that, you can't sort of find where the button is. If you hit anywhere on the right hand side of that light, even I'm sort of just quite clumsily hitting at it, you can turn it on. Just go for a little walk.